Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer Jewelers. Lovely to have you along for the ride. Sorry, we got to talk about that Phillies game yesterday. 10 strikeouts, 8 of them by way of the curveball. Good Lord, fellas. Good Lord. We'll talk about that, unfortunately, with that Phillies loss. We'll also talk about the wild card standings. We'll talk about James Harden leaving a very cryptic Instagram post out there. I don't know what it means, except I don't need that Instagram post to know that it's about to get really awkward, like really uncomfortably awkward. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're staring dead in the face here with the 76ers upcoming season, the 76ers upcoming training camp, and the whole debacle that will remain to be James Harden for whenever Daryl Morey feels like he's going to get a decent return. I want to see them play chicken. All right? I want to see them play chicken. That's what I want to do. I want to see them now. I want to see. I used to say that I wanted to drag on. I don't want it to drag on. Now I want it to drag on because the whole report about James Harden possibly getting fat again and stuff. You know what? I want to see Daryl Morey and James Harden just have a stare down. And I want to see just how fat James Harden's going to get. So you know what? Don't trade him in front of the trade deadline. You know what? Hold on to him for the entire year. Just watch James Harden get fat. Just big old fat James Harden. Don't cave like the Houston Rockets. Oh, he's fat now? Trade him. No, hold on to him. Make him go. Force him to go to Pat's and Geno's. Yeah, that's a ticket. Pat's and Geno's, and maybe a good place like Angelo's, right? Have him go there and just have him get all fat. Yeah, and then when he's done, morbidly obese, they'll be like, joke's on you. Now you'll never get another big paycheck in the NBA. That's what I decided yesterday while I was watching the premieres to the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's the thought that popped in my brain. Because when James Harden posted that thing, I was sitting in the movie theater and I was looking at it. I was like, oh, come on. I'll go into that a little bit later. Also, today we got training camp starting up on tomorrow. Doesn't matter if it's tomorrow. Jeez, listen to me. Next week, Eagles training camp starts up. Football season is upon us. Not that it ever really goes away in a city like Philadelphia, but football season is upon us. Really always. But next week, there'll actually be people at the NovaCare Complex in organized team activities and a little thing they like to call a training camp. So we'll get into that conversation, as well as my top 5 things that I am most concerned about going into the upcoming season. I narrowed it down to 5. Now, I'll say this. I remember the year the Eagles went to and won the Super Bowl. And I remember before that season, the biggest concerns on the team were backup quarterback having not really played much in the preseason and the long snapper. Those were the concerns going into the Eagles Super Bowl season. 13-3 season? That's what I was concerned about. The long snapper and the backup quarterback. When I realized those were my 2 concerns, I realized it was going to be a really good season for the Eagles. I didn't realize they were going to win the Super Bowl. I didn't realize they were going to go to the Super Bowl. I didn't realize they'd even go to the NFC Championship game and dominate like they did against the Vikings. But I had a pretty good feeling it was going to be a good year. When I'm like, what are my major concerns? And I thought about I'm kind of stretching it here. So to come up with 5, I was like, all right, 5 legit concerns. Don't stretch. Don't just try to get a round number. 5, you know what I mean? If anything, 3 concerns. But I'm like, no, you know what? I got 5 concerns that going into the season. If people said to me, are you worried about this? Are you worried about that? Are you worried about that? Blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, yeah, you know what? All those are pretty legitimate. And I got 5 of them for you. And I know most people can't do that. I can. So we'll get into that. And yes, I have it right here. Just so you guys know, I'm not full of, poop emojis. I have it right here. This is Dad's Grail Diary. Okay. For the Indiana Jones freaks that I talked about, myself included, at the end of the show yesterday, I'll actually just scroll through this real quick. I'll page through it. I'll open it up. I'll do the whole thing for you. And I'll give you my official movie review of Dial of Destiny. Market the movies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you right now, some of you might classify my take on Dial of Destiny as a piping hot take. Just remember, it's not a hot take just because you don't believe it. but I'm going to tell you right now, it's my God's honest truth about how I feel about the movie Dial of Destiny. So that's what's coming to you later in the program. Let's get to what I didn't enjoy watching yesterday, which was the Phillies getting striking out 10 times by Corbin Burns of the Milwaukee Brewers. Cy Young Award winner Corbin Burns. ERA champion Corbin Burns. 3-time All-Star Corbin Burns. I did not enjoy that at all. Not even a little bit. I went through it on the post-game show on Jacob Media yesterday, and good golly, Miss Molly. Schwarber strikes out looking. The only Philly to really strike out looking. They said Bryson Stott swung at a pitch. He did it, but whatever. We didn't see the replay, so that's what they said. So he didn't go down looking. He apparently swung at a pitch, but whatever. The only guy to go down looking was Kyle Schwarber yesterday. It was in the first inning and was on a curveball. 8 of the 10 strikeouts that he had came by way of the curveball. Bryce Harper, Bryson Stott, in the second inning, both curveballs, both swinging and missing. Brandon Marsh, curveball. Then you go to the third inning. Finally, somebody strikes out on something other than a curveball. Derek Hall strikes out on a changeup. Then Brandon Marsh in the fifth on a cutter. And then Stott, Marsh, Hall, and Schwarber, including Marsh, Hall, and Schwarber, all on curveballs, all in the eighth inning, as he ended up striking out the side. You had 6 base runners yesterday. And this is the old riddle, like how can you reach base? What is it? How many different ways you can reach base? All right, well, you got to hit. So you had 2 of those yesterday. You could walk. You had 2 of those yesterday. You could get hit by a pitch or drop third strike. And Brandon Marsh actually reached base on a dropped third strike yesterday. That's how the Phillies had to squeeze out another base runner against Corbin Burns. Now, just stay with me here. Corbin Burns needed 100 pitches to get through 8 innings of work, 8 scoreless innings of work. Now, 8 scoreless innings of work, ladies and gentlemen. That is the 3rd time he's done that this season. 8 scoreless. All right. Well, he's got 15 straight innings now without allowing a run. That's pretty good. But you're facing a guy that's not going to blow you away with heat. Okay, you're gonna face a guy that's all about location. The amount of times I saw guys flailing at strike 3 out of the zone, and I know I use that term flailing a lot, but yesterday was a perfect example of that. And I've seen way too much of that from guys like JT Realmuto. Of course, didn't play yesterday, but he's been a huge culprit of that. Nick Castellanos has been one of your most consistent hitters all season long, but he has certainly been someone who's done that a lot. And Derek Hall yesterday was actually one of the only Phillies to really barrel up a baseball on a line drive. He hit the Miller at first. But he was flailing away. I mean, it was fanning. They were fanning yesterday at Citizens Bank Park. And Corbin Burns did a phenomenal job of keeping him off balance. And I know yesterday, if there was going to be a game this season that I had to look at the Phillies and go, gentlemen, line up, everyone in unison, tip your cap to Corbin Burns because he spanked you in this game. Then fellas, line up on the baseline, tip your cap because he was just the better player yesterday. Absolutely dominant. And of course, it's a little bit of a different ball game once Christian Yelich gives you that 3-run home run in the 3rd inning like he did yesterday off Taijuan Walker. And the Phillies really never recovered from that. And offensively speaking, they really did not have many opportunities to. As I said, you had one really, I think Bryce Harper had one as well. But Derek Hall yesterday absolutely barreled up a baseball. We'll go through it in a second. And it just went right to their first baseman. And that was that. But there was no huge opportunities there for the Phillies. I was hoping they would create some opportunities. But even in instances when you did have long at bats, whether it was Brandon Marsh working a 7-pitch at bat, whether it was Bryson Stott working an 8-pitch at bat, whether it was Nick Castellanos even working a 7-pitch at bat, they didn't really end well. Those at bats. Corbin Burns had the put away pitches yesterday that just guys had no idea how to answer. And having a perfect game going into the 4th inning was not exactly the best possible sign. Going through the first round of hitters, the first time through the lineup perfectly, is not exactly a great sign for the Phillies in any instance, really. So that was a very uncomfortable, very much not fun game to watch by the Phillies. And then there was some concern there when the ball bounces off Taijuan Walker. It goes to Trey Turner at shortstop. And Walker later left the game after that. So it was not a good day to be a Phillies fan. Now, long and short of it yesterday, Phillies still in the wild card hunt. It's going to take a minute before they're out of the wild card hunt. Now, they currently have the third spot. They are tied with the Marlins. They have one fewer win, one fewer loss, but their win percentage is just a tad bit higher right there. So you have the Diamondbacks, the Giants, the Phillies, the Marlins, and then the Reds, Cincinnati Reds, are just out of the wild card spot with the San Diego Padres at 6.5 games behind the pace. So that's where we're at right now as far as the Phillies go. One thing I want to clear up. Yesterday, we talked about Bryce Harper. I know there was a report that was out there regarding him having a fever. None of that was acknowledged yesterday when Rob Thompson was addressing the media before the game. And he simply said what John Kruk had assumed during the broadcast, what he took an educated guess about, which is that Bryce Harper was just trying to locate the release point of Hobie Milner. He tried, when he faced him the last time, he said he just couldn't pick him up. So this time out, he was just going to watch him, and he thought he was going to not be able to locate a pitch, apparently, and thought he was going to get a walk. That was Rob Thompson's hypothesis in the 6th inning of Game 2 of this series against the Brewers. Then he came out there yesterday, and after that game, after Game 2, he addressed the media saying, that's what I think he was doing. He thought he was going to get a walk. And then Rob Thompson addressed the media again yesterday before the game and said that's pretty much exactly what was going on. And then Harper was locked in, ready to go for a 3-2 pitch. Not a 3-1 pitch that was right over the middle of the plate, but he was locked in for a 3-2 pitch, and that's where he sat down. And if you go back and you do watch the at-bat on the 3-2 pitch, he was a little bit more ready to swing a baseball bat than he had been in any of the other pitches that he had seen up there. So that at least is something I buy. I don't like it. I still think it's dumb. I went through the process yesterday, and I highlighted, okay, you know what? You can't find his release point. You take a pitch. Where is it? Okay, it's right there. All right, you know what? I really didn't see it again. All right, take another one. Let's get crazy. All right, let's get greedy. Let's see another release point. He takes another one. Then when it got to 3-1, I figured that's the spot where you really got to lock in. Even at 3-0. 3-0 pitch, you can get a base runner there? Yeah, sure. Maybe you work a walk. 3-1, get ready to swing. Right over the heart of the plate. As I said yesterday, even a practice swing over the, just through the zone, that ball's out of the park. You just put a good swing through the zone, you at least get on base. Maybe you get a home run. Maybe you take a 4-3 lead. Apparently, Bryce Harper thought, let's wait till a full count. I'll wait till a full count. And that's where I'll decide. Maybe I'll be interested in swinging a baseball bat. So that's where we're at with that whole all those shenanigans that took place in Thursday night's game. Or Wednesday night's game, excuse me. I mentioned Phillies yesterday, 6 base runners. They only had a runner on second base twice against Corbin Burns, and they never had a runner on third against Corbin Burns yesterday. That is just straight up dreadful. Phillies are in a tough spot now because they're going to go into Cleveland. They're going to face a lot of young talent against the Cleveland Guardians. And they're in a position now where I would really love to see them start piling on and stack up some wins before you get into August and certainly before you get into September. But a lot of this is going to come down to what happens at that trade deadline, and we're not going to know what happens at the trade deadline until Bryce Harper plays first base. I would love for him to have that opportunity tonight, but the way the Phillies have been talking about it, this is just something that continues to drag on and drag on and drag on. I don't know where they go from here as far as how many times they're going to allow Bryce Harper to play first base. I would assume just watching him in warmups, watching him practice at the position, they already have some idea as to whether or not he can get to the bag, field a throw, but they're not going to know anything until they actually put him in a game situation when it counts. Not when it's practice, but when it counts. Does he have some of the fundamentals down? I'm not expecting Bryce Harper, even in practice, to be, he's fundamentally sound. Look at him now. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting him to be fundamentally sound enough to play the position. And they're not going to know anything about Bryce Harper as a first baseman until they actually see him out there in a game situation. I mean, they always talk about it. You could be in shape or you could be in game shape, right? And when you talk about that, just an overall conditioning, it's not that different when it comes to muscle memory and you haven't done it before when your muscles got nothing to remember when you're talking about playing first base. So Bryce Harper, never played the position of anything of substance before, is going to be tasked with not only being able to play that spot, but play that spot well enough for the Phillies to look at this and go, okay, I think we're actually going to first base. Let's go get that corner outfielder. Hey, if Paul Goldschmidt somehow is available and you can make that deal, or Nolan Arenado is available and he can be your third baseman, and somehow Alec Boehm is not involved in that deal and he can be your first baseman, let's party, man. Let's light it up. Let's light the fires and kick the tires. But as of right now, that's not happening. But Bryce Harper just needs to show that he can be a viable option at first base. And the Phillies are just like, nah, we'll get there eventually. The trade deadline is in 10 days. How many? What are you going to? How are you going to? What? The trade deadline's in 10 days. And the Phillies are like, oh, yeah, we're going to see what Bryce Harper does at first base. When? Oh, look, the good news is it's not like first base is a spot that gets only a couple of tests per game, right? You're involved in almost every play. It's like the pitcher, the catcher, and then, of course, your first baseman. Everything is going to first base, you know, right? So it's not like Bryce Harper is going to be out there doing nothing. He's going to be fielding the throws from his other infielders. He's going to be charging on bunts. Oh, that'll be interesting. He's going to be trying to throw across the field, maybe. Maybe you see that. Maybe you see him try to turn that, as I mentioned, 3-4 or 3-6-1 double play. Maybe that's how you see it work out. But, man, I just want to see it as much as I possibly can before the Phillies have to make a decision on what they're going to do at the trade deadline. And I do think Dave Dombrowski is going to be aggressive. I don't know if Shohei Ohtani is going to be that aggressive. I don't know if Juan Soto is going to be that aggressive. I think you're closer to guys like Paul Goldschmidt. Bellinger is another name, of course. And then whatever random bullpen arm that Phillies could add to this road, or excuse me, Phillies could add to their stable of bullpen arms, I think would be a pretty damn good thing as well. The starting pitching, I don't know if the Phillies are going to go that direction. I wouldn't be shocked, obviously, because Christopher Sanchez, although has done a good job, he hasn't done a great job. I thought he's done a good job as a fifth starter. A great job would be like, this guy could be better than a fifth starter. And I'm certainly not there yet. But approaching the deadline, 10 days away, there's a lot that has to fall into place. The Phillies can only control what they can control. But one of the things they can control is whether or not Bryce Harper's out there at first base or not. So this is the series. He's supposed to play first. I'll be watching, of course. I won't, unfortunately, be able to do any post-game activities with Jacob. I'll be away tonight and tomorrow night. But if they do have him out there, I'll try to get some kind of reaction on there for you guys to at least have that. And I know I'll be tweeting about it during the game as well. So I'll cross my fingers and hope this happens sooner rather than later. Let's jump. By the way, Phillies 7:10 start time tonight when they start that 3-game series against the Rangers against the Cleveland Guardians. Ranger Suarez, he'll get the start for the Phillies tonight. 7:10 start time. All right. Here's what I saw last night in the old Instagram feed, okay? Oh, wait, we can't really make that out. Let's get in a little closer, okay? James Harden, ladies and gentlemen, goes on Instagram, this is, and he just puts in one of these cryptic, all black backgrounds with these messages, these words in white. Been comfortable for so long. It's time to get uncomfortable. Is that a movie trailer in and of itself? What are we talking about here? How is he? I don't get it. That's very cryptic. Everyone, I think, is jumping, and rightfully so, jumping to the conclusion that his relationship, and it's been reported that his relationship with Daryl Morey is fractured. I don't know if there was a handshake deal. I don't know if there was a wink and a nod about him losing, quote unquote, $15 million going into last season for the good of the team. I don't know if there was some kind of deal that Daryl Morey was like, yeah, you guys, you take care of us now and we'll take care of you later. It's like your boss says to you, oh, don't you worry, we got a promotion in mind for you. And you're like, really? They're like, yeah, when? Oh, we have no idea. But just, when did we have? It's in mind. It's like, there's no better thank you than cash. So James Harden and Daryl Morey are apparently no longer buddies, at least in the business world. And I'm wondering if there was some kind of deal last year when Harden took that $15 million less to be able to sign guys in the offseason, like a PJ Tucker, for instance, or bringing a guy like DeAnthony Melton. I don't know. I'm wondering if there was some kind of agreement that now Daryl Morey is saying, I said I'd take care of you, but I didn't say I'd take care of you. I said I'd take care of you with like 2 years, a boatload of money there, but I'm not going to take care of you for 4 years and what do you call it? A brig worth of cash. Like, that's not happening. Not shipping containers full of cash. So apparently, this is going to be a hideous, I think, battle between the Sixers and James Harden. And it's not just because of an Instagram post. It's because that's just kind of the straw. That's the straw that breaks the camel's back, as far as I'm concerned. You already have the idea of James Harden in other places wanting to leave and doing whatever it takes to leave. We've talked a lot about his exit in Houston. We've talked about the fat suit. We've talked about him being a pain in the ass in Houston. We've talked about him forcing his way out with Brooklyn as well. Not in the way that he did in Houston, but still forcing his way out. Now he is looking at it as a last hurrah in his career to both be successful on the basketball court, which I don't think is the priority here, and make as much money as possible. So even this opt-in that we have talked about goes from $35 to $40 million. So a $40 million year for James Harden is a pretty nice year, especially after he opted out of the $47 million deal he could have got with the Sixers last year. But instead, he decided not to do that and take the $12 or $15 million pay cut. But now you have a situation with James Harden where he really wants to go to Los Angeles. So he only has it narrowed down to one possible place. And he could get $40 million with that trade clause that he has in his contract. So, yeah, he really wants to be traded. He's going to make money. He also hopes to get another contract from somebody. I guess he thinks that could be the Los Angeles Clippers. And in return, the Clippers are not going to have to give up much. Like I have been saying this entire time, if you get somebody that can come off the bench and you get a first-round pick out of this, you've won. And I don't think that price is going to go up any higher. I think actually, with every single day that passes from now to October 2nd, if James Harden really is enjoying the tacos, if he really is going to get as fat as possible, if his goal is morbidly obese, every pound he gains, he becomes less attractive to any team out there looking to sign him, unless there really is a fat suit. So James Harden is going to go into this, and he's going to make everybody uncomfortable, according to his own words there. It's been comfortable so long, it's time to be uncomfortable. Well, apparently people are going to get uncomfortable. Is he talking about like fitting into pants? Because I have the same thing where I'm uncomfortable fitting into like an old pair of slacks. You know what I'm saying? So James Harden's going to go into this, and he's going to be looking to light everything on fire. His trade value is not going to go up. If he's going to show up to camp and be a pain in the ass, guess what? He becomes less expensive. If he plays at not nearly the level that we have seen him play at last year, great facilitator, leading the league in assists. If he's not even up there with the league leaders in assists, if his three-point percentage goes down, if his scoring is down, if he looks completely disinterested, if he looks completely out of shape, guess what? You're going to keep on going down. Let's just say, in our heart of hearts, let's just imagine for a second here the people that really think you could get something of substance, like a guy let's say Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Let's say we're going up, and you're starting at Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, either one of those guys for James Harden. Let's just say we start there. As it goes on, and by the way, I was never up there, but let's just entertain the people that think that was possible. All right, James Harden for Paul George, for Kawhi Leonard, right? And then Marcus Morris. Now you're down to like Robert Covington. I mean, Terrence Mann. People really like the Terrence Mann. That wasn't happening. Norman Powell, not happening. Right. All this stuff. Keep going down. And here's where we're at right now. We're at maybe Robert Covington. And yeah, you're gonna have to match up somebody else, where Nicholas Batum, whatever. So that's where we're at. Keep on going down. And what day is it? July 21st. Keep on going. And you're not going to get higher. Sooner or later, you're just going to bottom out, where the Clippers are going to have to give up something just to match money. But are they going to be willing to do that just for James Harden? They need a facilitator, no question about that. So that at least remains a need for them. And James Harden is coming off a season where he was the leader in assists. I don't have a lot of patience for this. I feel like we're going to have a lot of patience for this. But I'm going to tell you right now, in all honesty, I'm done. And I'm not just saying I'm done with James Harden like most people were at the end of the playoff run last year. Daryl Morey needs to make this deal as soon as humanly possible. Any idea that there is going to be some kind of push for James Harden where his value is actually going to rise, I don't see how that's possible if James Harden is planning to come in here and blow things up. Don't let him put you in a spot where he's going to be holding you hostage. Don't let him do that, because somehow his trade value could actually diminish past the point of that first-round pick. And that's the only thing that I really care about. And I give credit Daryl Morey for this when he was talking to Anthony the other day. I give Daryl Morey credit for this. He said, if we don't get something that is going to be a great player or something that we could turn into a great player, we're not trading James Harden. Turn into a great player, I don't think that means a project, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think that means Daryl Morey is going to sit back and relax and be the guy to really turn Robert Covington into the greatest 3-and-D, man, the processors really thought he could be. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's a first-round pick. I don't think that's what Daryl Morey was saying. I think what he was saying was that's a first-round pick. And I think that would have to be included in the deal for James Harden. So the longer this goes, I think the more you miss out on the opportunity to get that first-round pick. Everything else is going to be simply a throw-in for salary cap reasons. And I don't really give a damn about that right now. Just while we're on the subject, I'll say it again. The last thing I looked at with the Sixers when it comes to salary cap and all that stuff, the last thing I want them to do is to hold on to James Harden and let that money diminish or let that return diminish. And then after that, what I want them to do is just invest in Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Let that grow, see what you have there, then take the next step. That's what I would really want to see. That's what I would love to see the Sixers do. All right, let's get into some football. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday, everything kicks off for the Eagles in training camp. Guys have already been at the NovaCare complex working out. Guys will continue to stroll in. We'll get the strength and conditioning tests. We'll see them pass those tests. Somebody will fail and all that stuff. That's what we'll get into. But I got 5 main concerns with the Philadelphia Eagles coming into training camp here. I'll go through them from 5 to 1. One may surprise you, as they say. Number 5. I know a lot of people look at Cam Jurgens and what he has done in preseason last year, in a couple of reps last year, and they look, oh, this guy's set. Oh, and he's also a member of Stoutland University. He's good to go. That's fine. But if you really want to be honest, and being honest is you don't know because you haven't seen enough of Cam Jurgens quite yet. To know that he is going to be having some kind of training camp battle with Tyler Steen is interesting to me. Now, I think Cam Jurgens is going to be the starting right guard for this Philadelphia Eagles team. They could play the long game and say, well, Tyler Steen's going to be there for the foreseeable future, so why have Cam Jurgens go from right guard to then play center if Jason Kelce retires at the end of this year? I understand that philosophy. I really understand it both ways. As long as the best possible guy is playing that spot, I want that guy in that spot, and I'm happy with that, whether that's Cam Jurgens or whether that's Tyler Steen. Who I think it will be is Cam Jurgens. But it is a concern for me when he doesn't have a lot of experience at that spot. I know he's gone through walkthroughs, and one of the things Lane Johnson talked about when he was really the one to introduce this battle between Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens, when they asked him about the right guard spot, he was like, oh, yeah, both these guys. I was like, wait, hold on a second. Both these guys? Steen, this is a real thing? Tyler Steen could be the right guard for this Philadelphia Eagles squad going forward? Like now? It's not just going to be Cam Jurgens just to get his feet wet at the NFL level, having to block men? And I was like, okay, well, let's get into this Tyler Steen character. Oh, he's never played guard. Yet the Eagles introduced him as a guard at the draft, which we all know. It is still a concern for me because you're still dealing with an unknown quantity at the guard position. As much as I'd love to say it, as much as I have confidence that anybody you put in there and have him under the tutelage of Jeff Stoutland, that he'll be fine. But Andre Dillard, he went to Stoutland University. It worked out later. He actually filled in serviceably, even at the guard spot. And I know he played that in college, right? He also played tackle, of course. But he had some experience as a guard. And when they moved him into that spot, he was much better in the phone booth than he was out on the island. And even in spots where he did have to fill in on the island in right tackle or left tackle, he filled in, I thought, well, last year. Last year was a good year for Andre Dillard. So he eventually came around, but it wasn't immediate from Stoutland University. This is a starting spot at the guard position that the Eagles need to have success in. This can't be a middle-of-the-road player, and it sure as hell can't be a hole in the offensive line where the Eagles are touted to have like the best offensive line in football. So no weak points, no weak spots. So just knowing that it's going to be somebody new, knowing that it's somebody that is either way is going to have to break in at that spot and break themselves in at that spot, that is a concern. It's number 5, but it's a concern. Number 4 on my list is the expectation. After any Super Bowl appearance or Super Bowl win, even with the Eagles won Super Bowl win or the Super Bowl appearance, everything is heightened the following year. One of my favorite things from any Hard Knocks ever is Rex Ryan when they had Hard Knocks after their first AFC Championship game. And I think it was after their first one. And he said, you know what? When he was addressing the team in his first a team address of the training camp, he comes out there and he goes, you know what? A lot of people last year, we snuck up on them. And people say, oh, they stuck up on them. Oh, we didn't think they'd be that good. Now they know you're that good. And that's how you know if you're really great. When people know that you're a good football team and you're not sneaking up on anybody, they're giving you their best. And you're matching it with your best. And your best is better than theirs. That's what you want. That's what you strive for. The Eagles are no longer in that position where people are looking at Jalen Hurts going, well, can he do it? Is he the guy? Oh, he's the guy. He's absolutely the guy. The expectations are up there for everybody. This offensive line, the expectations there. Jalen Hurts, the expectations there. Certainly in the backfield with this running back room with Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott returning, and then DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny being added to the mix. I think it's a really good running back room. But they have a lot of yards to try to achieve from last year's run game and the year before that. The wide receiving core, Devontae Smith. You have a guy like Quez Watkins looking to prove himself. Obviously, A.J. Brown. I think you bring a lot to the table there. I think your offense is pretty set. But then the expectation on defense, you're supposed to be an improved defense from last year. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to have like 80 sacks and they'll be improved. But that means the adjustments that you could be having from a guy like Sean Desai, what you're going to be doing with the linebacking core. It's great expectations from a year ago. Great expectations. Those are difficult to reach. Look, everyone's got lofty goals. And if you're in the NFL and you don't have lofty goals, I think there's something wrong with you. You're a professional athlete, you don't have lofty goals, there's something wrong with you. So the expectations for last year are concerned because it does set a pretty huge bar. Now, I'm going to revert back to something I really learned from one of the best coaches / managers we ever had in Philadelphia, Charlie Manuel. This invokes all sports. It's not just baseball. But one of the things that Charlie talked to me about on this show about a year or so ago was the celebrations in baseball and how he didn't like the celebrations, like the home run hat or whatever. Right? He didn't like it, but it wasn't for like what most people would put it in the box and say, old man yells at cloud or something like that, right? It makes sense. When you have those types of huge celebrations in all of sports, or when somebody is celebrating you in all sports, you personally or as a team might not put the bar that high. You might have a little bit of modesty. You might have a little bit of, you have the lofty goals where you want to achieve those, but you're not trying to pump yourself up. You're trying to focus on what you need to do better. Like, do you think Jalen Hurts was looking in the mirror after last season going, you're an all-pro. You're an MVP runner-up. You've already made a Super Bowl appearance. You're great. No, I think he was going, you know what? Last year you worked on the deep ball and you threw a better deep ball. This year maybe you work on the scrambling ability in terms of not taking a big hit, getting out of bounds, throwing the ball away, sliding. Maybe you work on all that. I don't think he's focusing on the things that he does great because that's not Jalen Hurts. He's not setting the bar astronomically high for himself in terms of pumping himself up. Sure, in terms of goals, absolutely. In terms of holding himself to a high standard, absolutely. But in terms of buying into what the expectation is, that's then, this is now. If he's buying into what the expectation is, you know what he's doing? He's not paying the rent every day, as he always say. You know what he's doing? He's not keeping the main thing the main thing. And this isn't just a Jalen Hurts thing. This is a team thing. I'm not singling anybody out. I'm talking about expectations overall of the team. it's a really high bar. And it's such a high bar that it's Super Bowl or bust. You got to at least make it to the Super Bowl. You don't make it to the Super Bowl, that's a step back. You don't have yourself in the MVP conversation, that's a step back. We're used to watching guys right now in Jalen Hurts on the up. And I'll tell you my expectations. My expectations is Jalen Hurts will be a perennial MVP candidate. That's high praise. That's a high bar. Those are great expectations. My expectations are the Philadelphia Eagles will go back to a Super Bowl. That's my expectation for this team. Now, there's some questions, and as we continue with the concerns, there are things that might prevent that. Now, you got right guard, you got expectations. Number 3, linebackers. I love Nakobe Dean, and I really think he's going to have a good year. Those are my expectations. I look at a guy like Morrow, for instance, and I really hope he brings a lot to the table at the outside spot. I look at the edge rushers, just talking about the outside linebackers, guys like Hassan Reddick and Nolan Smith. I don't know how this is going to look. I have very high expectations for this defensive line, again, despite a guy like Javon Hargrave being out, despite only seeing a little bit of Jordan Davis, not a start-to-finish starter in the middle of that line of scrimmage. Seeing what Jalen Carter could do. It's all going to be done at the NFL level. I think all those guys are going to perform very well. I don't think anyone is going to look outmatched. I don't think any of those guys on the defensive line, especially the interior defensive line, are going to look like busts. Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter. I don't think that's going to be the case for either of those guys. But I look at the linebackers in particular. I look at Nakobe Dean. And I know you had guys like TJ Edwards play very well over the last 2 years and definitely reach past the expectations for them. Alex Singleton, TJ Edwards, undrafted middle linebackers that are all of a sudden your starting middle linebackers and performing well. Not great, not game-changing, but well. For a guy that sat out his rookie year for the most part, other than training camp, or excuse me, other than special teams, I have concern. We don't know what he could do. Now, between the ears, he's a brilliant man. I've talked to you guys about him before, sitting down with him on a couple of occasions. He's been on this show a couple times. He has been great. And it's just like when you talk to somebody that you know is just brilliant, and he's got a brilliant mind, mechanical engineering, wants to dabble in pre-med, which is hilarious. The guy's just brilliant. So does that translate on the football field at the NFL level? I think it certainly will. Athletically, is he too small to be linebacker in the NFL? Will his speed, quickness, and instincts carry him to success? Because that's really what he's going to have to rely on. And the Eagles are charging him. Look, you should be very optimistic about this. I've talked about the 2 undrafted middle linebackers that have been your starters over the last, 3-4 seasons? And now you have a 3rd-round pick, a guy that people thought had 1st-round talent, another Georgia Bulldog national champion that's going to be heading up your middle linebackers. It all sounds great. Or heading up your linebackers. It all sounds great. But I don't know. What's Morrow going to be doing for this team? I have my concerns. The linebackers are going to have to step up. The linebackers are going to have to make things happen for this defense. If things don't work out with the next position I'm going to be talking about here, linebackers could alleviate a lot of that pressure if they are going to actually add pressure in the passing game. If Sean Desai actually decides to be a little bit more aggressive than his predecessor. That brings me to number 2. The second thing that I am most concerned about the Eagles going into this season is the safety position. What do you think about what the Eagles have coming into this year? You have guys like Reed Blankenship, who I think is the only guy that is the closest thing to a lock as a starting safety. Really impressed me in his rookie season. I thought he was very underrated. I thought he came in and he was just ready to go from jump. I've talked about him picking off Aaron Rodgers to start things off. I've talked about him making big hits on Saquon Barkley in the season and in the playoffs. Like that's a hell of a start. Oh, and you're also playing safety in the Super Bowl. Not too bad either. That's the second thing I'm most concerned about going into this season. Reed Blankenship, although I like him, had a good first year, he's going to be one of your starting safeties. Who's the other guy? Who's the guy taking over for the guy that thinks we're all obnoxious somethings, bleepers, all right? Who's the guy taking over and going to get that? Who's going to give you that type of production like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Who's going to give you the production of C.D. Deuce? Is it Terrell Edmonds? Is it Sidney Brown? Kayvon Wallace, remember him? Who is it? And what's he going to do for this team? How is he going to be used? What's the production going to look like? How's he going to be in coverage? Is he going to be aggressive at the line of scrimmage? Is he going to come down and play in the box? Who's it going to be? I'll tell you right now, I would love for it to be Sidney Brown, but then that's talking about a rookie and then a one-year veteran as your starting safeties in the NFL, which, as you guys have followed, is a pretty pass-happy league. Can those guys be the deepest man on the field while also maybe providing a little bit of pressure and coming down in the box like I mentioned? Because I'd love to see it. Sidney Brown, hey, everyone talks about Sidney Brown, the maturity, the strength, all that. The talent, of course. NFL level, ready to go, taking over for a guy that was leading the league in interceptions and missed a handful of games at the time. That's a concern. The safety position is a concern. Number one. What could be number one? Safety is supposed to be the most important thing, the biggest worry going into this season because of the inexperience, because you don't know what the Eagles are going to be doing at that spot. Something far more concerning. And if I had to pick one thing of all these things, right guard, the expectations set for the season, linebackers, safeties, if I had to pick one thing that was the most concerning above all else, it's your coordinators. Sean Desai has been a defensive coordinator one time in his career, and it was with the Chicago Bears for 1 year. Everywhere else, defensive assistant. Look on the other side of things. Brian Johnson has at least been an offensive coordinator at a number of other spots at the college level. But at least he's been there. At least he's been in that role. Play calling, not really something that he's done a lot of, but it's the first time he's going to be doing it at the NFL level. Sean Desai obviously calling plays as a defensive coordinator. Your coordinators are concerned. If Sean Desai is supposed to be like Jonathan Gannon, that's not exactly a great selling point. Brian Johnson has a wonderful relationship. He's 36 years old. He's a wonderful relationship with Jalen Hurts. Known him practically his whole life. And now you're in a situation where he's your number one guy. He's your quarterback. You're going to be putting him in the best possible position and this offense in the best possible position to have success. Brian Johnson hasn't done that at the NFL level. He's coached positions. He's coached quarterback. He's coached a guy like Jalen Hurts. Now all of a sudden he's calling plays in the NFL. Just to go through his background real quick, you're looking at a guy in Brian Johnson. Starting in 2010, he was a quarterback coach at his alma mater, Utah. He was the offensive coordinator for 2012 to 2013, as well as quarterback coach. Went to Mississippi State, QB coach. Houston in 2017, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. Florida, 2018 to 2019, quarterback coach. 2020, offensive coordinator in Florida and quarterbacks coach before in 2021. Coming to the Eagles to be the quarterbacks coach there for 2 seasons, and now he is the offensive coordinator. Never calling plays at the NFL level with this offense, as diverse as this offense can be, that's concerning. You know how I know that? Shane Steichen was pretty damn good at it. What did I say about those expectations? They're a concern because everything else is heightened now. Super Bowl or bust. You make it to a Super Bowl, don't make it again, and you didn't have as successful a season as you did the year before. You've taken a step back. There's no learning curve in the NFL. That's not allowed. It's either you win or you don't. It's either you make it to the Super Bowl or you don't. Sure, there's some positives you can take along the way, some encouraging things you can take around. Dare I call them moral victories along the way. But there's going to be some positives. Jalen Hurts could have a better year statistically. Jalen Hurts could be the MVP of the NFL and then not make it to a Super Bowl. The bar is set high. Shane Steichen set a really high bar with this offense. Get back to that. Brian Johnson is going to be charged with doing, having never called plays at the NFL level before. All right, your only bar is Shane Steichen. Guy that worked this into a head coaching job in the NFL. Good luck to you. On the other side of it is Sean Desai. Now, you look through Sean Desai's track record, not a defensive coordinator. Defensive assistant, D-backs coach, 1 year defensive coordinator with the Bears. And it wasn't even that great a year. That is a huge concern for me. Because, look, as much as we didn't like Jonathan Gannon, I could totally see people being like, oh, I actually miss Jonathan Gannon. I could totally see that. I'm not betting on it, but I can see it happen. And now he's got younger pieces to groom. He doesn't have as many veterans to rely on. I mean, you look at the interior defensive line, you look at a guy like Javon Hargrave gone, then you look at the secondary, and like I just said, you can have 1 year of NFL experience combined with your 2 starting safeties in the upcoming season. Sean Desai, have at it. Linebacking core, oh boy. Concern. And the guy in charge of it all to try to get the most out of it is a guy that's very inexperienced. Now, I guess we should be almost excited that at least he has a year of experience as opposed to Jonathan Gannon, who did not. But it's a huge unknown as to what Sean Desai is going to bring. When we've talked to other people about this, guys that were really close to the situation, like John McMullen, for instance, and he's talked about Jonathan Gannon's scheme, philosophy. A lot of it comes down to the Vic Fangio way of doing things. And he was only, once removed? Sean Desai is not at all removed. He's right there with a guy like Vic Fangio in terms of being a true-on mentor-disciple relationship, teacher-pupil relationship. It's right there between Sean Desai and Vic Fangio. So you can see even more of that style of defense. But he's going to be the guy, along with these position coaches, that are going to be charged with making sure they get the most out of Sidney Brown, making sure they continue to get the most out of Reed Blankenship, making sure Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis don't resemble anything like busts in year 1 and year 2, respectively. And Nolan Smith actually can absolutely have at it coming off the edge, along with Josh Sweat and along with Hassan Reddick and Brandon Graham. That's a lot. That's a lot for a first-year defensive coordinator. So go through it one more time. My top 5 concerns. Right guard, the expectation set going into the season, linebackers, safety position, and then your coordinators. That's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'm hoping coming out of training camp, coming out of the preseason. I at least see these guys call plays. I don't see false start. Now, how could you tell success in all that? No, I don't want not false starts. Delay of games, having to burn timeouts. Show me you're getting the play in there early. Show me you're getting the play in there quickly. Show me you have good communication with your quarterback in this regard. Because I don't care if Brian Johnson delivered Jalen Hurts at birth. If they've never been in a spot where he's calling plays to you in the huddle, then everything else is null and void. I don't care. I don't care how long they've known each other. It's all about what goes on going into that huddle. Delivering the play quickly, and then obviously having success. Now, you won't know the success until you actually get into the season. And maybe also the third and fourth quarters of these preseason games where you have these guys out there and they're both squads are trying to win, right? Not just show good film, but trying to win. Maybe you'll be able to detect that as well. Because if you're looking for something to watch for in the preseason, I would say every third and fourth quarter of the preseason, because that's where I think you'll get the closest thing possible to Brian Johnson as a play caller. And just watch in terms of the timing, the clarity of it, how well executed the play is. That's what I think you'll be able to get your best taste. Won't tell you everything. That's where you get your best taste to at least see what you can get from Brian Johnson there. And also same thing goes for Sean Desai. Except defense in the NFL is reactionary, obviously, so it's a little easier to tell how your defensive guys are reacting to what the offense is doing in preseason than it is the offense, the other way around. Let's get into the chat check in just a second, but let me tell you about the great people at Steven Singer. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven's in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, perfect price, online at ihatestevensinger.com. That's ihatestevensinger.com. Let me tell you about the great people at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, the leader in below-the-waist grooming. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and their skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So check out Manscaped at manscaped.com. How about the incredible people at Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their tropical tasting Bay Oxide clocks in it at chart topping 24.1% and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. So next to these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsStation.com. Let's get to the chat check. PJ's off again today, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start it off right here by me putting up your comments. Sean Kilray, good morning, guys. Burns was a man on baseball fire for the Brewers yesterday. He owned the Phillies 12. Wait a minute here. 12 strikeouts? Beep, bop, bop. 10 strikeouts. Yeah, okay, 10 strikeouts. April, good morning, April. Sean, everyone's saying good morning. This is lovely. Sean Gillespie, good morning. And then back to April. April, say hi to Sean PJ. April, what do we have here? Sean Gillespie. Mike Fuji. What's going on, Mike Fuji? Morning, peeps. Happy Friday, 4 days till camp. Let's go, baby. Fuji, good morning, Mark, and all the good peeps. Wait, Mike, do you have two? Oh, you're on Facebook and YouTube. There we go. All right, that makes more sense. Sean Kilray, Sean, I see him playing first since Hall was sent to Lehigh Valley after yesterday's game. Thank you. Yeah. I'm very curious to see, even though they did that, the thing that haunts me is the fact that, oh, good Lord. The thing that haunts me is Bryce Harper addressing the media 3 days ago saying even when he does play first base, it's not going to be every day. So is it going to be Bohm? Is there a trade already in the works? Sosa going to be at third base? What's the deal? What are they going to be doing? And even if they do it, what happens at September call-ups? Hall's back up, obviously. I would really love to crack the code as to what the Phillies are going to do at first base. I would love Sean, and you're right. Hall going down should mean more Bryce Harper at first, or at least we get to see Bryce Harper at first. It's going to happen in this series. But even then, you got 10 days to figure this out. Let me see real quick the off days for the Phillies. Leading up to the trade deadline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, you do not have an off day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Oh, there it is. Thursday, the 27th. They're off. So before the trade deadline, you have 9 games in 10 days to try to figure this out. I'm really hoping I see Bryce Harper at first base more than 3 times. The thing that haunts me is saying that it's not going to be an everyday thing. If it's not going to be an everyday thing, then what are we doing? Then why are we doing this? You just want to see if he can play the position at all? Because I don't think that makes enough sense. You're either going to make a move at the deadline to improve first base or you're not. You're either going to make a move at the deadline to improve left field and make Kyle Schwarber a designated hitter, or you're not. Why go through all this rigmarole if he's only going to be a part-time first baseman? Not even a part. The way he described it was like, yeah, it's not going to be an everyday thing. It's going to be a once-in-a-while thing. All right. Let's see how that works. And by the way, I've been telling you all week, Derek called not ready for big league hitting. I wonder if they did him an injustice, or big league pitching. I wonder if they did him an injustice. I know Cody Clemens was getting more reps at first base. Then Cody Clemens really started to hit a wall. And then they decided to call up Derek Hall after the injury, but they gave him a couple more at-bats at Lehigh Valley. I wonder if getting him at the big league level faster actually would have been better, because he just looked so low. He had a home run. That was great against Miami. But everything else just did not look like he was ready to party. Sean Kilmer, I'd like to see Hicks from St. Louis here with some bullpen on. I like Hicks. Sean Gillespie. Harden was comfortable here. That's why he slept through the last 2 playoff games. Nice, Sean. What else do we have here? Take care of you, not take care of you. Pretty accurate, probably. Sean Gillespie. April, hello. Sean Kilrain. Tyler Steen will be the starter. All right. I don't see it. I don't think that's crazy at all. I actually think it's a lot closer than people are willing to admit. So I like that, Sean. Driscoll, Steen, even Dennis Kelly. Yeah, Dennis Kelly. How about that? No, look, I think the offensive line is going to perform very well this season, but just not understanding exactly what they're doing going into it. You understand it. I'm sorry. That's not the right way. Not knowing who the guy is going to be when it was thought to be one guy for a very long time. And then Lane Johnson was like, yeah, both these guys are pretty good. What? Both, huh? They're actually going to do this with Steen? Interesting. But Sean Gillespie, I agree. Coordinators main worry. Sean Kilray, I want to see how the linebacker situation goes down. I see big things for Dean, our version of Sam Mills. Man, I hope so. April? I don't think our expectations for Jalen are going to be higher than his. I would say if April, I agree. I'll say this, though. If I ever had to guess about an athlete's aspirations or expectations being exactly what the fan bases were of that player, I would say they're pretty even. Hurts is probably, sky's the limit, no doubt. But I don't know if they'll be closer than any other city-athlete relationship. Meaning, whatever Jalen Hurts is expecting of himself, we're pretty close to expecting it as well. Maybe not right there, but I know that he sets the sky the limit for himself. And I absolutely love that about him. And I think there's never been anything better said about an athlete in Philadelphia than what Jeffrey Lurie said about Jalen Hurts, which was the dedication to excellence, the dedication to perfection. That's fantastic. What else do we have here? Mia Sanchez. Morning, all. Burns is a stud. Offense will come back. My buddy and I are headed to Cleveland this weekend for Saturday and Sunday games. My 5th ballpark. Ring the bell. Very nice, Mihai Sanchez. Enjoy yourself, man. That's great. A little baseball road trip. Wait, what happened? Damn, my bad. Farzy, got to wake up. Oh, that's right. Well, no big deal, brother. No big deal. Sean Gillespie, say Kush in the Sean Connery accent. I double dare you. You're putting the quarter in the machine, man. You're putting the quarter in the machine. Half into Kush. All right, sorry. All right, anyway. I'm a sucker. Clemens is coming back. I didn't see that. I just saw Hall was going down. Okay, great. Thank you, Sean. I honestly don't think the Phillies know what they are going to do at first. I feel like they are waiting till the last minute to call it. Oh, April, I concur. Last 9 games before the trade deadline? Oh, I'd say it's last minute. Hold on. I'm including August 1st. Hold on. 6:40. So, no, they have 8 games because it's not like they're going to play on August 1st and then make a trade. So, yeah. That sucks. That's one less game. Joe Sullivan. What's up, Sully? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. Everybody, thanks for partying. Let's get to the Jacob Media chat, see what you guys are up to. Unfortunately, I can't put your names up there. Hold on a second. Let me just triple check something here. Why am I getting that note? Get out of here, you bastard. What do I got here? Yeah, no. Okay, so I just want to double check, say I try to have some humility. That's not it. Jacob Media YouTube channel. Jason A. Farzy, Desai was the D coordinator for Seattle too. He was not. He was defensive assistant to Peter Carroll, I believe was the head coach's name. No, I'm kidding. Assistant head coach and defensive assistant at Seattle. Where the heck is the thing with the thing and the guy? There it is. All right. 76er definitely was a snoozer. Yesterday's game, absolutely extremely odd at bat. Harper had very odd. I agree. Can't pick a ball out of the dirt, I think. I don't know. This is Team Schwarber's bat at the one spot. What in the hell does that mean? I'm glad you're asking the question about what you said because I didn't know what the hell you were talking about. Embiid is not a champion. I can't watch another disappointing year. Harden is great for the regular season. I do like Patrick Beverly. He's a tough Philly-esque type player. I concur. Thanks, everyone in the chat. You guys are fantastic as per usual. Wait, okay, hold on. Mihai Sanchez. Hoskins greater than Clemens, greater than Hall. Okay. Overall, yes. I would say the best defensive first baseman of those guys is Clemens. Mihai Sanchez, healthy Hoskins. Yes, I concur with that. Let's get to the Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, SkyMotorCars.com. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Phillies are back at it tonight. 7:40 start time in Cleveland. Ranger Suarez will be on the hill for the Phillies, going for, unfortunately, just his 3rd win of the season. He is 2-4 on the year with a 3.84 ERA. Gavin Williams will get the start 23-year-old righty for the Guardians. He's 1-2 on the season with a 3.94 ERA. He is coming off a 5-inning, 2-run performance, both earned against the Texas Rangers. So that's where we're at. Official movie review of Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, my immediate reaction, told you I went to see the movie with my buddy. First off, I haven't been to the movies, like the actual movies, in a long time. I think the last movie I saw was, what was it? Sherlock Holmes, the Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, Sherlock Holmes, which was not a good movie. As Gilbert Gottfried told me when I interviewed him the next day, the late, great Gilbert Gottfried, he went, "Why would you see that crap?" Anyway, I'm like, well, my wife's nephew's wanted to see it, so we saw it. Anyway, I think that was the last movie I saw, and that was before the pandemic. So this is the first time I went to the movies. First off, that was a whole experience in and of itself. I actually sat in a movie theater that reclined for the first time. I was like, oh, this is just like my living room, except there's people here that I don't know. Pretty a full theater. And when the movie was over, I turned to my buddy and I said, initial reaction, it's my third favorite Indiana Jones movie. What? That means it beat out one of the original three? Farzy, that's a hot take. It's not a hot take. My movies that I rank for the Indiana Jones franchise. Number 1, Crusade. Number 2, Raiders. Number 3, Dial of Destiny. Temple of Doom. Pile of crap. Piled on top of another pile of crap. On another pile of crap. Crystal Skull. The way they did Dial of Destiny, and I'm not going to give anything about the plot. I'm not going to give anything away. The way they did Dial of Destiny was fantastic. There were so many hat tips to the previous non-Crystal Skull movies. It was awesome. And it wasn't corny. It wasn't cheesy. It wasn't cringe. I thought they did it perfectly. The payoff in the movie is fantastic. I thought the acting was really good. It wasn't like over the top corny. I thought the plot line was great. And look, you know this from the trailer. He fights the Nazis, and he fights the Nazis. Like, you fight the Nazis, you win. Like, that's the beautiful thing. Like, you put the Nazis in a movie and you beat the crap out of them. People are happy. I'm happy. So I'm sitting there in the theater, and there were a couple of points where I was like, I don't know about this. And then it would pay off. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie, and I consider this to be an Indiana Jones sequel, unlike I consider Crystal Skull to be an Indiana Jones sequel. I acknowledge that movie no more. Crystal Skull was terrible. Dial of Destiny was awesome. It was so much fun. It was so nostalgic. And overall, just as a movie, grading it on its own, I wish that was number 4. I wish Crystal Skull never happened, and I wish they made this movie as the 4th installment of the, what do you call it, 5 movies? I don't know. I don't even know what you call it. But anyway, 5 movies. Part of the franchise. So I wish it wasn't. I wish Crystal Skull never happened. And just really enjoy this movie. And I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to ruin anything for anyone that wants to see it. But I did make a promise yesterday. And here it is. Oh, boy. Okay, Sean Gillespie, that's a hot take. I have to see this now. Well, here's the thing with Temple of Doom, okay? Here's where Temple of Doom loses. He didn't beat the Nazis. You know who he beat? He beat people that were having child laborers. I didn't want to see kids working mines. That was terrible. It was still a good movie. I really liked it. And don't get me wrong. Like, I think Crusade, there was just like, if you were going to beat the original, then you had to have the 1-2 punch of, Sean Connery and Indiana Jones. Or excuse me, Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. And that was a phenomenal 1-2 punch. And the plot to that was just fantastic. But Raiders is right there. Like these, when I talk about my top like 4, they're so close. But if I have to watch one repeatedly over and over again, Crusade, Raiders, Dial of Destiny, and then Temple of Doom. And then never Crystal Skull, which, for the record, I watched again 2 weeks ago. I watched Crystal Skull again. I was like, you know what? Let me just see that. Because everyone on TikTok and everyone on social media was like, you know what? Crystal Skull gets a really bad rap. And then I watched it again, and I was like, 10 minutes into it, I'm like, nope, it did not get a bad rap. I'm telling you, when Kate Blanchett steps out of the Bentley or whatever the hell that was, and she's got the black bob hair, and she's talking like the Russian, whatever, I'm like, get me out. I'm out. I'm out. That's how I felt about it. Okay, so here it is. All right, I told you guys, for the people on the podcast, this is going to be a very visual part. But this is Dad's Grail Diary. All right? So my brother hands me this a couple weeks ago for Father's Day. He hands me and he goes, here you go. And the minute he handed it to me, because I'm such an idiot, the way my brain works, I go, that looks like Dad's Grail Diary from Crusade. So he hands it to me, and I look at it, and it Venice, Italy. Now, the scene is Marcus Brody says, it's today's mail, and it's been open. He's not Robin Leach. Sorry. It's today's mail, and it's been open. Mail? Well, that's a good aesthetic right there. Ooh, listen to that. Venice, Italy. Oh. It's Dad's Grail Diary. All right, it's got things here, all those things, whatever those were. All right, and then look at this. Ready? Here, I'll page through it. Here you go. I don't know if you're even getting this on camera, but it's got all the stuff. Oh, look at that. Whatever that was. Was that the stained glass? That was not the stained glass. Venice, Italy. Check this out. Right? Oh, what? Oh, you get a grail, and you get a grail, and you get a grail. Well, that was a happy accident. That just popped up right at the right time. All that. Look at that. Now, there's a couple of things here. There's the map with the canyon, the crescent moon. They really hit on everything. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get this for you. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is cool. Here we go. Ready? Check that out. That's the picture. Sean Connery and little Harrison Ford, even though it's probably not little Harrison Ford. But whatever. You get the idea. But yeah, so my brother got this for me. And then, of course, I go see Crystal Skull. Or, God forbid. I go see Dial of Destiny. Yeah, the map. This book contained a map with no names. Anyway, so that's me being a nerd. And yes, when I came home from the movie, my wife was like, I didn't know you were such a nerd for Indiana Jones. And I'm like, well, I can't really talk to you about it because you're not a nerd like me. But anyway, so there you go. So anyway, my top 5 reasons. You know what else is in the diary? My top 5 reasons to be concerned about the birds this year. Anyway. Hey, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for staying with me here. Much appreciated. Wait, hold on. Oh, my God. I'm really starting to understand why Farzy was left behind in kindergarten. Oh, that is fantastic. Wait a minute. April. The husband says TOD because of young Indy. All right. Temple of Doom. Yeah, I can see why you'd do that. I know it's blasphemy to talk about blasphemy. It's blasphemy to talk about one of the originals being outdone by this one, but I think Temple of Doom was outdone by this one. That's my piping hot take for you. I don't think it's a piping hot take. I'm just being honest with you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And yes, I was held behind in kindergarten because I was watching the Indiana Jones movies over and over again, and not doing what was the thing? Reading. Anyway. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. You guys are fantastic. I'll be back with you guys on Monday, hopefully after a series win. Hopefully after the Philadelphia Phillies not only win the series, but have Bryce Harper at first base for at least a couple of games in this series against the Guardians. But most importantly, they lock up a little bit more, or they notch themselves up in the wild card standings just a little bit more. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Talk to you on Monday. Bye.